Hello, my people. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm very happy you're here. So please like and subscribe when you can. So I want to invite you to this journey of putting flowers in a vase for my customers, and I'm very grateful to these people, my very amazing customers who allow me to put flowers in their vase for their homes to look very good. So my business is Wire Flowers, and it's more of an online store. You can reach us out. We have a Google page and everything good. But while I was working on this flower, here is the element of surprise. I had taken my daughter with me. She's 6 months old, and she started crying, and I had asked somebody to get her for me, and then there she is, beautiful as ever. And then I had to put her on my back so I could do this. I had to get the job done. And yes, she hears me as we're recording now. She's beautiful. And so, to get the job done, you've got to get her distracted, but also comfortable and feeling good. So I had to put her on my back, and I started removing thorns on the roses. So anyone can hold them from the vases when they're changing water, and I'm not around because I put them in the vase, but I'm not around every day to exchange the water or every other day. So our business is more of an online store, and we make bouquets for wedding, proposal, birthdays, God forbid, funerals and everything. Um, but check us out. We have a Google page. It's Wayo Flowers, WAYO Flowers. So feel free to reach us out, and then we can help you with that. But hey, let's talk about roses today. I mean, why are we obsessed with flowers? Why do people love flowers? I mean, it's a beautiful gesture. If you do ask me why I got into the business, this was my personal thing because I love flowers, and I honestly think that flowers go for any occasion. If you want to visit someone, you can give them flowers. You want to appreciate someone, you can give them flowers. You want to make someone feel loved, you want to celebrate someone, you want to give comfort to someone. Flowers are literally my thing. And then I thought, why not? Can I do this flower thing? If I sell flowers, then it will be easier for me to give flowers to my friends for any occasion. And of course, I'll be making money because we all need money, don't we? So, like I was saying, why are we obsessed with roses? You don't buy your girlfriend, your wife flowers on Valentine, and she's like, come on, you don't think I want those flowers? And there's something about women who don't like flowers. There's such people, and it's okay not to be obsessed with flowers. But if they don't want flowers, you gotta buy them something. But even if you buy them something, and if they are accompanied by roses, oh, it feels so good. I mean, they could be wanting a flight ticket, they could be wanting a designer bag, they could be wanting some nice shoes or something, a laptop or a piece of land. But if that is followed or escorted with a nice bouquet, it doesn't have to be big for people who don't like the flowers. It could be very small or medium, but a rose is really something that I found. Even people who say they don't like flowers, they really do like flowers. They enjoy getting something like in a form of roses. So if you could, get them a gift, and then you get them some rose or like a small bouquet to go with it, it really feels good. So why a rose? What's a rose? Well, from Wikipedia, it shows a lot of, flowers, variety of roses. But the definition of a rose is either a woody perennial flowering plant of a genus Rosa, and the reading in Italian, in the family of Rosaceae, or the flower it bears. There are over 300 species and tens of thousands of cultivars. And now look at my baby. She allowed me to put her down. She was sleeping and relax there. So I had to just keep a watch and then, walk on the vase as I continued. It took me about an hour or two to finish because I had to tend to the baby. Look at me with thorns. This is something people don't tell you about roses. They have crazy thorns that really hurt when they get into your skin. Oh my God. Like most of the time on Valentine's, even when wearing gloves and I'm walking on the flowers, I still get these small pieces get inside of my skin, like splinters. And sometimes, I have to pull them out hard, or if I let them stay in, it will be 2 more weeks of, sensation and pain. But yeah, let's continue with the roses. Talking about the plants that range in size and form, from trailing and erect shrub to climbers up to 7 meters in height. Sharp prickles, like I was saying, the thorns appear on the stems of the many species. Their flowers vary in size and shape and are usually large and showy, in colors ranging from white through pinks, reds, orange, and yellow. Most species are native to Asia, with smaller numbers native to Europe, North America, and Northwest Africa. Species, cultivars, and hybrids are all widely grown for their beauty and often are fragrant. Different species hybridize easily, and this has been used in the development of the wide range of garden roses. Roses have acquired cultural significance in many societies. So right now I was cutting the stems so I can put it in the water. This is the thing that you do when you have flowers in your home. So each time you change water, you have to cut the stems. um, you know, Most accurate way is under the running water. But if you cut them and not horizontally, like with an angle down there, it helps getting more water. And so it doesn't, like flowers don't sit flat in your vase. So I was cutting them and putting them in vases, different of them, and I'll show you how they look after that. So the etymology of roses. The name rose comes from Latin rosa, which was perhaps borrowed from oscan from Greek. Ooh, I look. Itself borrowed from Old Persian, wooldy, so povrodon, ioric, rodon, itself borrowed from Old Persian woody, related to Avestan, Various, Sojourn, Vard, Parthian, Wall. Ooh, a lot of names. This is crazy. You've got to read it from Wikipedia. But, part of the botany. The leaves are borne alternately on the stem. In most species, they are 5 to 15 centimeters, 2 to 6 inch long, pinnate with 3, 5, 9, 13 leaflets and basal stipules. The leaflets usually have a serrated margin and often a few small prickles on the underside of the stem. Most roses are deciduous, but a few, particularly from Southeast Asia, are evergreen and nearly so. So here I was putting the white flowers, red roses. These white roses, the ones I used here, they're called Athena. They're very, very small. They're kind of green. You might call them green roses. But they are white and they're very small. So in white species, we have Athena, we have Proud, Oh, there's numerous, variety of roses. So I put them in one vase and I didn't like how they look like. It was kind of dark for them. So I changed another rose. But here I'm trying to have them on different height. So I didn't want it to be like a bouquet. I want them to have, one be shorter, one be taller. They kind of were all on the same height when I was cutting them, but in the vase I didn't want them to be on the same height level. So now I had to put some water from to another vase, reduce some, then I'll get some other flowers ready. So let's talk about thorns. The sharp growth along a rose stem, though commonly called thorns, are technically prickles, outgrowth of the epidermis, the outer layer of the tissue of the stems. Unlike true thorns, which are modified stems, rose prickles are typically sickle-shaped hooks which aid the rose in hanging onto other vegetation when growing over it. This is cool. Myself need to read more. Some species such as Rosa rugosa and Rosa pimpernelifolia have densely packed straight prickles, probably an adaptation to reduce browsing by animals, and also possibly an adaptation to trap wind-blown sand and so reduce erosion and protect their roots. Both of their species grow naturally on coastal sand dunes. Despite the presence of prickles, roses are frequently browsed by deer. A few species of roses have only vestigial prickles that have no points. Look at those flowers. Look how beautiful. Well, I had a rubber band on it, so I had to remove it. I love a mixture of different flowers, but those ones are called chrysanthemum. So I wanted to mix them with some of the roses. Or actually, I planned on mixing it with color lilies. I'll show you at the end how it looks, but it was looking really, really good. So some plants don't have prickles that have points. Plant geneticist Zachary Lipman of Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory found that prickles are controlled by the log or LOG gene. Blocking the LOG gene in roses reduced the thorns, large prickles, into tiny buds. That's really good. So the flower. The flowers of most species have 5 petals, with the exceptions of Rosa amaensis and Rosa cericea, which usually have only 4. Each petal is divided into 2 distinct lobes and is usually white or pink, though in a few species yellow or red. Beneath the petals are 5 petals, or in the case of some Rose amaensis or Rose cericea, 4. These may be long enough to be visible when viewed from above and appear as green points alternating with the rounded petals. The colored petals are fused on the axis and arranged in 5 bundles, forming a circle. The petals bundles expand further from each other. The petals form a cup or disc surrounding the gynosium. There are multiple superior ovaries that develop into achenes. Oh, there's a picture of a rose cut into half. Oh, it looks so pretty. Longitudinal section of developing rose hip. Ooh, nice. Exterior view of rose buds. They show you rose garden. Yeah, then there's reproduction, and there's a disclaimer that this section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section by adding citations to reliable sources, and source material may be challenged and removed. This was the edit of February 2025. So, for those of you who don't know, you can contribute to Google. You can actually go to Wikipedia and put some information. So if you feel like something is not rightfully cited, you can add citations, or just give the clear information. Let's say they say roses can only grow in America or the Europe, but we can grow roses in Rwanda, in Africa. So you can go on Wikipedia and add your own edits and be like, okay, so these flowers can also grow here, or this type of crop can also grow here, or something. Could be about songs or food or anything. So, still fighting with the thorns. Let's talk about reproduction. Roses are insect pollinated in nature. A fertilized ovary forms a berry-like aggregate fruit called a hip. The hips of most species are red, but in a few, like Rosa pimpinellifolia, have dark purple to black hips. Each hip comprises an outer fleshy layer, the hypanthium, which contains 5 to 160 seeds. Technically dry single-seeded fruit called achens, embedded in matrix of fine but stiff hairs. Rose hips of some species, especially the dog rose, Rosa canina, and rugosa rose, are very rich in vitamin C, among the richest sources of any plant. The hips are eaten by fruit-eating birds such as thrushes and waxwings, which then disperse the seeds in their droppings. Many of the domestic cultivars do not produce hips, as the flowers are too tightly petaled to provide access for pollination, and the plants can only propagate through human-made cuttings. Let's talk about evolution. The oldest remains of roses are from the late Eocene Florissant Formation of Colorado. Roses were present in Europe by the early Oligocenes. Today's garden roses come from 18th century China. Among the old Chinese garden roses, the old blush group is the most primitive, while newer groups are the most diverse. Genome. This word. A genome. A study of the patterns of natural selection in the genome of roses indicate that genes related to DNA damage repair and stress adaptation have been positively selected, likely during their domestication. This rapid evolution may reflect an adaptation to genome confliction, resulting to frequent intra- and interspecies hybridization and switching environment conditions of growth. Let's talk about species. Main article is called List of Rosa Species. The genus Rosa is comprised of 140 to 180 species and divided into 4 subgenera. These 4 are Halthemia, formerly Cypressifoliae, meaning with single leaves, containing 2 species from Southwest Asia, Rosa pelsica and Rosa berberifolia, which are the only roses without compound leaves or stipules. The second one is Hesperodus, from the Greek for western rose, contain Rosa minitifolia and Rosa stellata from North America. The third one is Platyhodon, from the Greek for flaky rose, referring to flaky bark, with one species from East Asia, Rosa loxibugi, also known as the chestnut rose. Then there's Rosa, the type subgenus sometimes incorrectly called Eurosa, containing all the other roses. This subgenus is subdivided into 11 sections, which are Benkisinae, white and yellow flowered roses from China, Bracteae, three species, two from China and one from India, Caninae, pink and white flowered species from Asia, Europe, and North Africa, Carolinae, white, pink, and bright pink flowered species from North America, Chinensis, white, pink, yellow, red, and mixed color roses from China and Burma. Garicanae, pink to crimson and striped flowers roses from Western Asia and Europe. Gymnocarpae, one species in Western North America, Rosa gymnosalpa, others in East Asia. Then there's Lavigatae, Lavigatae, a single white flowered species from China. Then there's Pimpinelli folii, white, pink, bright yellow, mauve, and striped roses from Asia and Europe. Then we have Rosa section, Cinnamonii, white, pink, lilac, mulberry, and red roses from everywhere but North Africa. Then there's Cincilli, white, pink, and crimson flowered roses from all areas. Well, in ecology, some birds, particularly finches, eat the seeds, just for eating. Let's talk about pest and disease. The main article that says list of pests and diseases of roses. Wild roses are host plants for a number of pests and diseases. Many of these affect other plants, including other genera of Rosaceae. Cultivated roses are often subject to severe damage from insect, arachnid, and fungal pests and diseases. In many cases, they cannot be used full grown without regular treatment to control these problems. Uses. Roses are best known as ornamental plants grown for their flowers in the garden and sometimes indoors. They have also been used for commercial perfumery and commercial cut flower crops. Some are used as landscape plants for hedging and for other utilitarian purposes such as game covers and slope stabilization. Ornamental plants. Main article is garden roses. The majority of ornamental roses are hybrids that were bred for their flowers. A few, mostly species roses, are grown for attractive or scented foliage, such as Rosa glauca and Rosa rubiginosa. Ornamental thorns such as Rosa sericea, or for their showy fruits such as Rosa moyesi. Ornamental roses have been cultivated for millennia, with the earliest known cultivation known to date from at least 500 BC in the Mediterranean countries, Persia, and China. It is estimated that 30 to 35,000 roses, hybrids, and cultivars have been bred and selected for garden use as flowering plants. Most are double flowered, with many or all of the stamens having morphed into additional petals. In the early 19th century, the Empress Josephine of France patronized the development of rose breeding at her garden at Malmaison as long ago as 1840. A collection numbering over 1,000 different cultivars, varieties, and species was possible when a rosarium was planted by Lodge Nursery for Abney Park Cemetery, an early Victorian garden cemetery, and Arboretum in England. Now, cut flowers. Oh, yes, my favorite topics right now. Roses are popular crop for both domestic and commercial cut flowers. Generally, they are harvested and cut when in bud and held in refrigerated condition until ready for display at their point of sale. The price of roses depend partly on characteristics of the rose itself, such as how long the stem is and how big the bloom is, and partly on factors about how it was grown, such as which country it was grown in. In temperate climate, cut roses are often grown in greenhouses, like here in Rwanda. And in warmer countries, they may also be grown under cover in order to ensure that the flowers are not damaged by weather and that pest and disease control can be carried out effectively. Significant quantities are grown in some tropical countries, and these are shipped by air to markets across the world. Some kind of roses are artificially colored using dyed water, like rainbow roses. That is very interesting. Now, perfume. Rose perfumes are made from rose oil, also called attar of roses, which is a mixture of volatile essential oils obtained by steam distilling the crushed petals of roses. An associated product is rose water, which is used for cooking, cosmetic, medicine, and religious practices. The production technique originated in Persia and then spread through Arabia and India, and more recently into Eastern Europe. In Bulgaria, Iran, and Germany, the musk roses, Rosa de Masena, Trigintipetala, are used. In other parts of the world, Rosa centifolia is commonly used. The oil is transparent pale yellow or yellow-gray in color. Rose absolute is solvent extracted with hexane and produced a darker oil, dark yellow to orange in color. The weight of the oil extracted is about 1/3000th to 1/6000th of the weight of the flowers. For example, about 2,000 flowers are required to produce 1 gram of oil. This is insane. The main constituents of attar of roses are the fragrant alcohols geraniol and citronellol and rose camphor, an odorless solid composed of alkaness which separates from rose oil. Damascenone is also a significant contributor to the scent. Now, food and drinks. Rose hips, usually from Rose canina, are high in vitamin C and are edible raw after the removal of the irritant hairs. Hips can be made into jam, jelly, marmalade, and soup, or brewed for tea. They are also pressed and filtered to make rose hip syrup. Rose hips are also used to produce rose hip seed oil, which is used in skin products and some makeup products. The Yalhodon compound of roses from Poe of roses in the historic name for various compounds in which red roses are an ingredient. Rose water has a very distinctive flavor and is used in Middle Eastern, Persian, and South Asian cuisine, especially in sweets such as Turkish delight, barfi, baklava, halva, gulab jamun, knafe, and nougat. Rose petals or flower buds are sometimes used to flavor ordinary tea or combined with other herbs to make herbal teas, a sweet preserve of rose petals called gulkand is common in the Indian subcontinent. The leaves and washed roots are also sometimes used to make tea. In France, there is much use of rose syrup, most commonly made from an extract of rose petals. In the Indian subcontinent, Ruth Afza, a concentrated squash made with roses, is popular as a rose-flavored frozen desserts such as ice cream and kulfi. The flower stems and young shoots are edible, as are the petals, sans the white or green bases. The latter are usually used as flavoring or to add their scent to food. Other minor uses include candied rose petals, rose creams, rose flavored fondant covered in chocolate, wow, often topped with a crystallized rose petal, and a traditional English confectionery widely available from numerous producers in the UK. Under the American Federal Food, Drugs and Cosmetic Act, there are only certain rosa species, varieties, and parts are listed as generally recognized as safe grass. Rose absolute, Rosa alba, L. Rosa centifolia, Rosa damascena mil, Rosa gallica, and vase of these subspecies. Rose otto of roses, attar of roses, ditto, rosebuds, rose flowers, rose fruits, rose leaves, rosa subspecies. Now, art and symbolism. The long cultural history of rose has led it to being used often as symbol. In ancient Greece, the rose was closely associated with the goddess Aphrodite. In the Iliad, Aphrodite protects the body of Hector using the immortal oil of the rose. And the archaic Greek lyric poet Ibycus praises a beautiful youth, saying that Aphrodite nursed him among rose blossoms. The 2nd century AD Greek travel writer Pausanias associates the rose with the story of Adonis and states that the rose is red because Aphrodite wounded herself on one of its thorns and stained the flower red with her blood. Book 11 of the ancient Roman novel The Golden Ass by Apuleius contains a scene in which the goddess Isis, who is identified with Venus, instructs the main character Lucius, who has been transformed into a donkey, to eat rose petals from a crown of roses worn by a priest as part of a religious possession in order to regain his humanity. French writer René Rapin invented a myth in which a beautiful Corinthian queen named Rhodanthe, she with rose flowers, was besieged inside a temple of Artemis by 3 ardent suitors who wished to worship her as goddess. The god Apollo then transformed her into a rose bush. Oh. Following the Christianization of Roman Empire, the rose became identified with the Virgin Mary. The color of the rose and the number of roses received has a symbolic representation. The rose symbol eventually led to the creation of the rosary and other devotional prayers in Christianity. The rose cross incorporates the flower directly into the Christian cross and is the namesake of the esoteric religious order of the Rosicrucianism. Ever since the 1400s, the Franciscans have had a crown rosary of the 7 joys of Blessed Virgin Mary. In the 1400s and 1500s, the Carthusians promoted the idea of sacred mysteries associated with the rose symbols and rose gardens. Albrecht Dürer's painting The Feast of the Rosary 1506 depicts the Virgin Mary distributing garlands of roses to her devotees. Rose symbolize the houses of York and Lancaster in a conflict known as Wars of Roses. Subsequently, roses of the corresponding colors have been used as emblems for the English counties of Yorkshire and Lancashire. The Tudor rose combines the color of roses of York and Lancaster and is emblem of Tudor dynasty and England. Roses are flavored subject in art and appears in portraits, illustrations on stamps, as ornaments, or as architecture element. The Luxembourg-born Belgian artist and botanist Pierre-Joseph Ledoux is known for his detailed watercolors of flowers, particularly roses. Henri Fantin-Latour was also a prolific painter of still life, particularly flowers including roses. The rose Fantin-Latour was named after the artist. Other impressionists, including Claude Monet, Paul Cézanne, and Pierre-Auguste Renoir, have paintings of roses among their works. In the 19th century, for example, artists associated the city of Trieste with a certain rare white rose, and this rose developed as the city's symbol. It was not until 2021 that the rose, which was believed to be extinct, was rediscovered there. In 1986, President Ronald Reagan signed legislation to make the rose the floral emblem of the United States. The rose is often exchanged on St. Valentine's Day and is used often as a symbol of such. The term bara, rose in Japanese, has historically been used in Japan as a pejorative for men who love men, roughly equivalent to the English language term pansy. Beginning in the 1960s, the term was reappropriated by Japanese gay media, notably with the 1961 anthology Bara Kei Ordeal by Roses, a collection of semi-nude photographs of homosexual writer Yukio Mishima by photographer Aiko Horses. Well, there's a lot to read about roses, but now you see my beautiful arrangement. If you have noticed, it's just 2 days. I'm showing you the flower arrangements for 2 times, and I thank you for watching. We'll read more about roses in the next video. And please like and subscribe because this will really help me. You see how beautiful this came out. So this was from the first part of the video, and the other one we just saw was from the second part. So I just wanted to make it longer so I can tell you more about roses. But tell me what you think about the video, and if you want me to do something else next time for you, I'll be very, very, very happy. You know, I bring your ideas to life. That's what we do. Wire flowers. Thank you. Bye.